Hello, this is Jessica Duke with How Do You Duke, and in this video we are going to go over some examples in my 7-year-old's nature journal. So I thought to start off with, I would show you some of his oldest nature journaling pages, which I think are just absolutely adorable. I like how this bird doesn't even have a beak, but you know what? I mean, he's observing things, and putting those observations in paper, and so I think these are absolutely wonderful. He's getting a little older in these ones, and you can see how in this killdeer, he is really getting where it's recognizable as a killdeer. And then in the magpie, this was, I feel like, his transformation age, where he was actually able to get things in basic shapes to make them look realistic and what he is actually seeing them to be. He drew this magpie right before his 5th birthday, and Cooper is, I would probably say, more observant and more careful and confident and loves taking his time than some of my other kids. And so his work at 5 looks a lot different than some of my other kids, and that is totally okay and wonderful. This is just an area that he really does a great job in. Sometimes Cooper does get really overwhelmed in nature journaling sometimes, though, especially if in his mind he thinks it's going to take too long or it's going to be too hard. And so one of the best things that I am able to do with him is, you can see, like right here is his drawing of a stingray, and over there is my drawing of a stingray. And so if I draw side by side with him and we both draw the same thing at the same time, that just helps quiet down his mind and calm him down. And we're spending one-on-one time, but I'm also forcing him to slow down and draw with me. And this really kind of gets us out of attitude funk sometimes if he's just really not into it. We had a beautiful, amazing flock of Bohemian waxwings visit our house, and we all had opportunities to observe them and draw them. And so this is from direct observation, looking out the window, like I notice and I wonder and it reminds me of. And I ask those questions verbally, and then I usually write down the answers, because a lot of times if you require especially little kids to write their answers to what do you notice, what do you wonder, what does it remind you of, a lot of times they get caught up in the spelling, in the handwriting, in the sentence structure, and get extremely overwhelmed, and then it becomes something that they don't want to do. This is Cooper outside doing his thing, nature journaling, and it is the cutest thing ever. If you look to the side there, that little puddle right next to him, he was using that puddle to make his watercolor, and he thought that was the best thing ever. This is a really fun progression to see. So this is Cooper's blue jay from probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And then this over here is his blue jay from recently. And this just goes to show, over daily practice, over weeks, over months, over years, just how those art skills can really develop, where you can really learn to draw what you see instead of what you think it should be. Really drawing from that right side of the brain instead of the left side of the brain, and just how those skills can just slowly develop over time. This is an example of something where I made them like zoom into something and really just focus on one really small part of something and really explore that and be curious. And it was a really awesome exercise. These are just some great examples of being intentionally curious in nature journaling. asking those I notice, I wonder, and it reminds me questions really just pulls out curiosity in your kids. So just things like, I wonder what type of nest a barn owl makes, or where it lives, or that it reminds them of a snowy owl. They're making those comparisons and relationships. Or in that bald eagle, like, I wonder why its feathers are so close together. I wonder why it has talons. Is it to eat fish? It reminds me of a sharp-shinned hawk because their faces look the same. They are just making those connections in their brain where their recall is going to be exponentially better because things have relationships in their brain. This is Cooper's most recent work, and this just goes to show like there can be a wide range in his art. Like, say for instance, the coyote over there, like he spent so much time on, he is so proud of. He really, really worked on those basic shapes to get all of his proportions right. He really worked on detail and getting that texture and being able to go with the grain of everything. And that probably took him 2 hours. And on that day, we had the time and capacity to be able to do it that long. Whereas, like his mule deer in the middle, he probably drew and painted within like half an hour because that's all we had the capacity for that day. And so I think that there's something to be said with, you need to realize and have realistic expectations of your time and the time that you're allowing them. And so you can't expect something like absolutely super detailed and realistic if you only have 15 minutes or something like that. And on the other hand, like some kids really don't have even like the dexterity to draw for 2 hours. And so you really need to know your kid, his skills, his abilities, his drive, his and just really gauge and cater their nature journaling experience to them.